Hear that? It's the classic sound of laundry being started.
It's such a happy tone.
Bless it.
It's just a series of angry beeps.
Normally.
Ours is like, hey, we're going to trick you into thinking that laundry doesn't suck balls.
Find your zen with your laundry machine.
Yeah, if you can.
Ding, ding.
Alright, so obviously Elsie's doing laundry. I anticipate that she will be joining us right here in the sound booth in the undisclosed location shortly.
Wait, but you still haven't figured out how to record this shit.
No, I have. It's recording right now. It's recording right now.
Going old school, making Zoom do it.
Yeah, why not, dude? That's right, Zoom. Making podcasts happen in this household since last week. Or 2 weeks ago. Thanks, Zoom.
Don't thank them.
You're right, they're providing a service for money.
Which, I mean, I guess some people you could thank for, but don't thank Zoom.
Okay. Oh, get away, go, get it. Yeah, the answer is yes, Nick is joining us.
This one is extra slobber.
Is that Moose?
No. In the background, yes.
Well, in the background there, and then there's Onak also who's looking, but Moose is laying down right there.
Yes. Well, I could tell it was Moose by the trail of cigarette smoke that was flowing out behind him.
Moose has been a very naughty boy.
Yeah, he's been pretty naughty these last few days, weeks.
Yeah, doing what?
Tearing into things. He ate 220 grams of chocolate on Thursday, so then we had to find out how much chocolate is lethal for a dog.
Yeah, and well, apparently not 220 grams because he's still walking around smoking.
Yep. It's about, I think it's 15 grams or something per body weight or something. It's enough to kill Lily, but not her. Him.
Oh, good.
So,
yeah.
He's an asshole. He continues to be an asshole.
Well, at least he ate all the chocolate himself instead of feeding it to Wee Wee.
I mean, I guess that's true. He's only trying to kill himself and not everyone else around him.
He's trying, but he doesn't even realize the impact of secondhand smoke on his fellow dogs.
It's okay. We put him back on the Shantix.
On the way we ate a Shantix.
How are the nightmares working for him?
Shantix is the nightmare of his... Shantix makes you crazy, dude.
Yeah, it has a number of potential side effects and has been known to cause people to take their own lives.
Really?
Yeah.
God damn, what's in that shit?
You don't want to know.
Nobody knows. That's the problem.
Isn't it just nicotine gum?
No. Shantex is a powerful psychostimulant. Its primary acting ingredient is Shan. Its secondary ingredients is Tex. Yes, exactly. So, but
you know what happens when you swallow ticks, right?
You get Lyme disease.
Right. Internalized
bloodstream. Shit looks crazy.
Yeah, but then at the same time, you don't want to smoke.
Okay, so Shantix gives you Lyme disease, it's all good. So, okay, so, how was Ecuador, guys?
Oh, wait a minute.
Wait.
Hey.
Are we gonna...
Are we starting? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Is that what's happening?
Okay,
We're going to go ahead.
down the phone.
All right.
Drop your top. Grab your socks.
We're shipping out.
All right. Wow. All right. So here we go. And I would just say this about all of that, which is this. Welcome to a very special year-end Shinn Show. I'm your host, Pete Shinn. Joining me, as always, from an undisclosed location in Maryland, my beloved spouse, Elsie, and from an undisclosed underground sub-basement bunker location in the Midwest, son Nicholas and daughter Sarah. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I'm pretty sure Nick woke up 15 minutes ago, said he was going to be late 10 minutes.
And then
showed up in 15 minutes.
Still looking good.
So Nick and his father woke up at about the same time.
True dish. In fact, I was wandering around. We agreed that we would do this pod at 10:30 Central, and I'm wandering around at 10:25 Central with a cup of coffee, and Elsie says to me, "Hey, not to panic you or anything." No,
but you have a thing in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's a surefire way to make someone panic. Don't you agree? Anyway, so,
yeah, it's not a way to make them not panic.
Right. Then I was saved by the proverbial bell when Nick said, "I'll be 10 minutes late," and 20 minutes later, here we are. So
all
anyway.
together.
Yeah,
so you guys went on a big long trip to Ecuador. I'm not even sure exactly when you got back.
Dude, go away. Get
I think he's talking to the dog and not us.
Go away, dude. Fucking go away. God damn.
Just
All right, sorry.
it happened, okay?
Dude, he's so slimy. This is a new sweater. He's slimy as fuck.
Yeah, now you know how I feel 90% of the time with any dog I ever meet.
I guess, but this is unlike any other dog I've ever met. The degree of slime.
He is 90%
Viscosity. The volume and viscosity of the slime is appalling.
It's off the chain.
Although, speaking of dogs...
Do the kids still stay off the chain? Is that something that people say?
No.
How do you do, fellow kids? Although, hey, so not to steal your sunshine or anything, but we're watching The Sopranos or whatever. I did not know that Steve Buscemi was a legitimate character in The Sopranos.
Yeah, dog.
He's not an illegitimate character, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, he's a
guest appearance. No, he's a recurring character in the fucking Sopranos. It's hilarious.
It's great.
And he's terrific. He plays a great role.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, he plays an ex-con who's trying to get a massage therapy business going.
Which is hilarious in itself.
Yes.
He's a self-saboteur.
Yes, the most unattractive massage therapist you've ever seen, Steve Buscemi.
Try relaxing with that face.
Yeah.
You're going to want to close your eyes during that massage. Anyway, yeah, so that's true. So, yes, we did go to Ecuador and the Galapagos Islands. We did a number of sightseeing and tourist activities that were organized by a tour agency, and we saw wildlife on Galapagos that you wouldn't believe. That they're all it's like being in a gigantic zoo in many ways, and it was awesome. Can't recommend it enough.
And your dad only got yelled at for breaking the rules half a dozen times.
That was on one trip only. On one trip only.
You broke the rules more often than that. You just didn't always get yelled at about it.
Look, so here's what happened. This is what Elsie is talking about. So one time.
Oh, let me back it up just as soon as you get off the plane in the airport, there's this giant billboard next to customs telling you like these are the rules of the island, because the Galapagos Islands is 97% national park and only 3% inhabited. So they're right off the bat, they're like, don't leave litter, don't take anything from the islands with you that's like natural to the islands, don't stay, the most important, stay 2 meters away from all wildlife, blah, blah, blah. It's like very clear, multiple languages, pictures to go with the words. And yet, here your father decides, oh, it's cool, I'm going to swim with the sea turtles. I'm going to touch them. It's cool. Nobody minds. Well, he got yelled at.
No one yelled at me for touching a sea turtle. I don't recall.
Only because she didn't see that part. She had already yelled at you for being too close before you actually touched it.
Well, it's not like I molested the sea turtle. I just kind of touched its shell and then its leathery flipper a little bit.
I think only the sea turtle would actually be able to verify whether or not it felt molested. Okay.
Yeah.
Should we
you
give
don't get to pick how much you traumatize someone, bro.
Should I give the sea turtle a little sea turtle doll and say, well, on the doll did the bad man touch you? Anyway, look, it was a great trip. A lot of scuba, but not scuba. We could be scubaing. In fact, we're talking about taking up scuba as a hobby because the snorkeling was so much damn fun.
Gay.
Yeah. Did you say gay?
Yeah, I said gay. Just kidding. That sounds
He
fun.
bored Sarah to death and she left.
No, the fucking dog is harassing me, so she's vacating them from the premises. I don't know what the fuck he wants, just sitting there with a slimy mouth on me looking at me.
Anyway, so that was our trip. It was a lot of fun, although I came back, I'm suffering right now. I mean, I'm suffering. And you know what I'm suffering from?
The fuckets.
I don't know what both those guesses were, but I think one was AIDS.
And the buckets.
Oh, no. Well,
Special sea turtle AIDS.
That's why you're not supposed to touch the wildlife.
No. I got sunburned badly the last day, especially on the backs of my legs.
I'm surprised.
Well, yeah. Well, it's the equator, as it turns out. The equator is really fucking close to the sun. Anyway, I'm itching like a man on a fuzzy tree. Almost all.
Yeah.
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 The thing is Sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
No. I was just going to say, yeah, some more. In commiseration.
The fun thing about a sunburn is, so while we were on mainland Ecuador, we had one tour guide the whole time, Patricio, who's awesome, and he's like part of the family now, and gave us art and took us to his house and all sorts of things. So we got very used to somebody very much leading us through, okay, this is what's happening tomorrow, this is how you need to be equipped for it, this is the schedule. Well, we got to Galapagos, and it's very much like people have their individual thing they do. So the snorkelers take you out snorkeling, and the gopher tortoise people take you out to the tortoise farm and whatnot. But they don't always know what you're doing next. They don't always tell you, hey, be ready at this time. So on our last day, our last full day there, we had no idea what time we needed to be anywhere, but we knew we were going to be out on a boat all day. So we just assumed, let's be ready by 7 o'clock, we're good. Well, us being ready by 7 o'clock was not happening. And so Brad and Peter had to put sunscreen on each other's backs, which, you know, that's a great stepfather, stepson activity. I'm sure. Nice bonding. Y'all can think, wow, that must have been really fun. So while Peter did a pretty good job putting sunscreen on Brad was very kind of streaky and just avoided the whole lower back area. So now your father looks like... touch. So your dad's got streaks where it's not burnt and then streaks where it is. It's like an interesting tiger stripey.
Yes. Actually,
very stylish.
I don't know if you can see through the glass or not here. Take a look.
I'm going to say they probably can't.
I mean, I see you taking your shirt off. I wish you wouldn't.
That's how Brad felt, you know?
Back. All right, anyway. So, but I'm suffering a little bit, but it was totally worth it. Totally worth it. Well, you've been on those cruises. Have you done any snorkeling on those cruises that you've been on to?
Yeah, I did snorkeling once, and it was fucking awful.
Really? Why? Couldn't breathe?
I can't see. They made me take my glasses off.
See, I and snorkel gear.
Yeah, I should have, but it was kind of a last minute thrown together thing. And I don't know how the fuck to swim with flippers.
Oh, it's simplicity itself. You just move your feet.
Yeah, that's almost like that's word for word what they told me. They said, okay, you're all strapped in, now take your glasses off, sorry, otherwise you'll get seawater in your eyes. Okay, you're all strapped in? Okay, and then he pushed me off the boat backwards.
That would ruin it for me right there.
So, I'm going to say no for snorkeling, although I think it's interesting that you guys are trying to go, I guess you're coastal-ish. Scuba diving?
Well, we're thinking about it. I wouldn't say it's full-on committed to yet.
No, but I will also say I feel like we need a family trip now of snorkeling where we can introduce Sarah to it properly with the proper gear and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. If you had prescription lenses on and could see what you were supposed to be seeing.
And went in the water gingerly as opposed to being pushed in backwards.
Yeah, that's not cool. Then
it was a no for me. It was a big no for Murphy, too. She didn't like the big rubber thing in her mouth. And she was like, she put the mouthpiece in, and she's like, you know what? I'm going to stay in the boat. And then she did.
Right. Look, we're just going to put a ball gag right here, okay? Just relax.
And she's like, no thanks.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my boot off and take this sweaty 12-hour day-long sock and jam it down your throat and take this roll of duct tape and tape it around your mouth. Then we're going to push you off the end of the boat so you can see some fish.
Stick a straw in it so that you can breathe.
I will say I used a full face mask this time. When I've gone in the past, I've used the typical old school gear, and I used the full face this time, and I liked it better because I could breathe out of my nose or my mouth or whatever, and it was much better.
All right, so the bottom line is that we can tell that snorkeling and scuba are not for you two, and it makes sense. You're landlocked Nebraskans. I mean, there are some scuba divers in Nebraska, theoretically, but, I mean, it's not a haven for scuba diving or snorkeling. And did I ever take you scuba diving or snorkeling as a child? No,
yes, not. And I enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I like scuba diving and snorkeling.
That's right. You and me, Nick, went with
Chris. You just call him Guy.
He calls me Guy all the time.
I do. I call him Guy. I started to call Jesse Chris. I have a problem.
You started to call Chris Jesse. You don't even know.
Exactly. I don't even know. But Nicholas and I went with Jesse and his boyfriend Philip. Was it Philip? Was Jesse's
fucking house?
What's that?
Who fucking knows?
Exactly. They're both dead now anyway. But the point is that we went to Hanama Bay and saw all kinds of stuff, as I recall.
Yeah, and I lost a tooth.
That's right.
Nice.
You were what, 7 years old? 8, 9?
Who the fuck knows?
Who can say? Yeah, so you went snorkeling at an early age, so I did take you snorkeling.
Yeah, and I liked it. I still like it.
Okay, there we go. So it's only Sarah that's been traumatized. Sarah, I'm sorry I never took you snorkeling.
You should be.
Yeah, I don't know how this devolved into a commentary on my bad parenting, but let's move on.
It always does.
Yeah, that's totally on you.
That way. It always comes back around to that.
I will say this, though.
That is really about therapy.
Yes.
I will say this, is that I know exactly where the scuba diving school is in Omaha, which isn't where I'm located. And it's right across the street from an FBI office. So do with that what you will.
Yeah, well, that does make sense. Learn to scuba and look for dead bodies in the Missouri River. That's kind of the main attraction in Nebraska, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, that's what we've done for the last couple of weeks. Any news, personal news from you guys?
We had Christmas, in which...
How super festive. How was your Christmas? God, what an asshole of me for not asking how your Christmas was. Jesus Christ, I should be beaten severely.
Yeah, but enough about you. How was Christmas?
It was fine. We spent most of the day before Christmas baking all kinds of goodies, and by we I mean me and Murphy, and mostly me. She made other things, but I do the baking in the house. She cooks, I bake.
Oh, that's fair.
And then everyone came over, and we went to go see Star Wars.
Oh, okay. We'll need to hear about that later. Okay.
No, don't talk about it. I'm going to go see it tonight.
Nick was supposed to go see it.
No
I was supposed to go see it, but it was Christmas Eve and I had to work, and it was very busy.
I just want to hear good or bad or your feelings. I don't want to hear anything about it. I just want to hear
my feelings.
Yeah. Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, it would have been so much easier just to let her do the feelings thing rather than stop it midway and ask if she wants to do it.
You know that's not how this shit works, Nick. Okay.
Yeah, it's all good. Anyway, continue, Sarah.
Here are my feelings on The Rise of Skywalker. It's cool, and I'm going to leave it at that.
All right.
It's cool. I like it. It's cool.
Do you think, hypothetically, not that I or anyone I know would ever do this, but if someone were to go watch that movie on a psychedelic substance, would it be fun to do?
Well, here's the problem.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't really know.
Okay. Yeah, that was a dumb question. I'm just going to assume that it would be, because it's Star Wars. And there we go. So, moving on.
It might be a little bit long.
Yeah.
But,
Well, plus, Star Wars has some pretty dark elements to it. I mean, that could really set you off on a bad path.
I guess.
He would assume. He wouldn't know.
No,
To the dark side.
I think he'll be fine.
Exactly.
There's a... Have you started reading that book I gave you yet?
Yeah, I did. That one's like... It's got such a weird cadence to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which book? Gideon the Ninth, that necromancy. I'm only like 20 pages in, but it's like that. And there's obviously like a lot of terms and shit that I don't understand yet.
Yeah, there is no like glossary or anything. They just kind of throw you in with it.
Yeah. But it's like
I read that book, by the way.
You did?
I did. I spent $14 to buy it because I don't know how to library either, but I know how to Amazon. And I highly approve. It's 5 of 5 stars for me.
Dude, then you should read the Poppy Wars.
I did read the Poppy Wars. I read the Poppy Wars and the Dragon Republic, and I'm now
I haven't finished that one yet.
Anxiously awaiting the third one.
How many stars for those?
Also 5 stars. Although the Fang Union main character, Ren, I do find her a little annoying at times.
And the second book, yeah, I'm like, all right, dude, get your shit together.
I thought that at the end of the first one. It's just her life started falling apart or whatever. And
yeah, she starts hitting the opium and shit. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, your people specifically are like highly susceptible to opium. And you're just gonna start hitting it after being experimented on and shit. You saw what it did to your hero, and you're just gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, hitting that pipe.
And then her friend was a little bitch at the end just because she dropped a nuke on Japan. You know what I mean?
Oh, I forgot about that.
It was like, oh, what did they all do? I'm like, dude, like, you saw what they did to that city. You know what I mean?
You were there, trapped in a corpse pile.
Yeah, didn't you want it to end too? Like, at any cost? That pissed me off.
No.
But then they were cool with
But it was well written. It
was well written. I did like it a lot.
Yeah. And it's an excellent, although imperfect, parallel between, history of China from, say, 1890 to 1950. It's an excellent analog for that history, but it's certainly not perfect.
No, it's not perfect, but it is easy to tell. Like, I could tell that the Hesperians were supposed to be Americans. Yeah. The first book when she was talking about how hard it was to learn their language. How many exceptions and non-conformity there is in the language. I was like, this must be the Americans right here.
Right, or the Brits. I mean, the British and Americans are interchangeable.
Yeah, but it's have the same amount of syllables as Americans. And
so on. Anyway, the point is, Poppy Wars and The Dragon Republic, both worthy books. Gideon the Ninth, probably the best book in a lot of ways in terms of science fiction fantasy in the last 10 years.
So you would recommend Gideon the Ninth over Poppy Wars?
I would. For me,
it's an easier read.
Gideon the Ninth is? You think?
I thought so. Was it easier read than the Poppy Wars?
Well, that's because Gideon the Ninth is a lesbian.
Well, I mean, first of all, that's not explicitly said, and second of all, it was just funnier. It was funnier, and once you get into it, the pace is faster.
I do like the wit in it. It's really.
That's the funny thing is that although it's an indeterminate time, or after a 10,000 year period of time, and yet they speak to one another as if it's 2019, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But it makes it eminently understandable, certainly.
Exactly.
But you know what I liked about the Poppy Wars the most? I like when an author uses italics in the perfect places. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like to emphasize words in a way that you would totally emphasize it if you were saying it.
Yes.
Authors who don't do that, I know it's kind of a small thing. When you use italics weirdly, like not on the right words, it pisses me off. Takes me out.
What are you doing?
It's
a lot of emphasis.
Right. So another book that I read was about Chernobyl, and it wasn't called. There's a famous one that's out right now called Midnight in Chernobyl. That's very, very well done and well written. But I didn't get that one. You know why? Because I didn't want to spend another $15. So what I did was I got a highly rated, personal memoir, a guy who'd done a lot of research on it. And it was worthwhile. I could tell, though, that it was never going to be a New York Times bestseller. I should probably have just anteed up the money. But I'll tell you, that Chernobyl accident, it spilled more radiation into the air than any nuclear incident in history up until the Fukushima.
Yeah, dude.
Shima.
You watched the 6-part whatever on HBO, didn't you?
I didn't. I did not watch Chernobyl on HBO. I wanted to, and then Elsie said, no, we can't watch it right now because we have some other thing to do, and we did. And so we painted our deck instead.
You should. I don't know if it's still on there, but it was worthwhile. I thought it was really good.
All right,
there's something about that statement. We didn't watch it. We painted our deck instead. That's something so soul crushing about that. All my passions and interests just ground into dust. We used to paint our deck.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you can escape adulthood, like Peter Pan.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll try to fly away with a little faith, trust, and pixie dust.
Yes. So anyway,
and green tights.
Right, but I do recommend reading up on the Chernobyl incident because it does give you some sense of the hazards of nuclear energy and the promise of nuclear energy at the same time. I mean, the fact is that nuclear energy, in terms of its CO2 production, is by far the cleanest energy that we currently have on the planet. And in fact, despite 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and Fukushima, despite that fact, it is, in fact, the safest, has proven itself to be the safest form of energy on the planet to this point.
More so than wind energy?
Yes, even more so than wind. There's more human
safer than wind?
Or just there are more human deaths per megawatt hour. You know, statistics can be made to say anything.
Only because there hasn't been a nuclear accident.
Yeah,
mechanically, I mean, wind turbines are huge and they go super fast and they're dangerous, dude. Wind turbines are dangerous as fuck.
But
Yes,
it can't be more dangerous than a failed nuclear
A
reactor.
failed reactor, yes, but do you know how often reactors fail? Not very often.
5 times ever?
Yeah, 3
Well, that's not true. Actually, the Fort Calhoun, just north of us, was a nuclear power plant that started to fail.
Yeah,
So they shut it all down.
Right, though. Right. They took... My understanding is that the Chernobyl thing happened is because they did not have proper fail-safes or that they weren't activated.
Have you watched Chernobyl?
Fuck no.
You should.
I just remember that some shit went wrong and they couldn't, couldn't fix it. Only two, there was 2 or 3 guys who stayed behind and swam to the bottom of the lake of radiation to activate one last cooling valve to mitigate the problem.
Yeah, actually, okay, so that's one of the Chernobyl myths. But what did happen was this. The reactor was of a design that it had some inherent safety flaws.
Yes.
This reactor did. So that was problem number 1, was design. Problem number 2 was that even if the reactor had been built to design code, it wasn't built to design code because of a shortage of available materials in the then Soviet Union. So there were serious manufacturing defects along with design flaws. Then combine that with, at the final analysis, they did a test, and this was the proximate cause of the accident. They did a test which put both the design flaws and the material flaws basically together in a perfect reces through this test, which should really not have been done. It was done on the overnight shift by inexperienced personnel who were not planning to do it versus the people who had actually planned the test. And so all of those factors combined, inexperienced personnel, a bad design, and then poor construction combined basically to literally blow the reactor up.
And then, to make matters even worse, the testers and things that they had, they only read to so many units. Okay, so they said, oh, well, it's only 400 units of radiation. It's not that bad. Well, it was actually 10 million units of radiation, but their little
instruments
didn't read that high.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then the proper containment protocols also weren't put in place.
And so on. It went on and on. In fact, the people on the scene who were responsible for immediate response did not believe and would not believe that the reactor had exploded for several hours. And so naturally the response was all wrong and resulted in several immediate deaths just because the people on the scene did not believe the reactor had exploded because they had been told that it was impossible to explode.
Yeah. Although, okay, so I did just read a thing recently on nuclear power, how they've redesigned a lot of it, and if the same thing happened and the reactor melted, it's supposed to go into this salt slag compound underneath it, and so yes, nuclear is still way safer and cleaner than pretty much anything else in terms of energy production these days.
Well, yeah, and I'm excited about the prospect for fusion energy. People are working on that. It's always 15 years away, but I think there are really some promising developments on fusion versus fission, which would really generate an unbelievable, clean, affordable supply of energy should we actually master it.
Yeah, but we haven't mastered it yet.
Did Darth Vader join the pod?
Didn't sound like it. Nick did some heavy breathing there.
What? My face was moving up to Mike. Why is everything my fault?
I don't know, nose breather, but it was very loud.
Nah, that wasn't me, Doug.
Yeah, it was definitely.
It was actually, in fact, Darth Vader.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Well, speaking of nuclear energy, the other thing that we did, that I read was, and I'm still in the midst of reading it, is a book called Hue 1968. It's spelled H-U-E, so it's Hue 1968, but it's pronounced Hue. It's a Vietnamese town of 140,000 that was the target of the Tet Offensive. And great story about how that offensive came together, why the Americans were not prepared for it, and what happened from that point. And I recommend that book as well. It's about 600 pages, but as a military history, it's really unparalleled. Great book. And another
First battle book from Mark Bowden since his #1 New York Times bestseller, Black Hawk Down.
Precisely. And the key lesson I'm taking away from that, the general in charge of the war for the United States at that time was a guy named General William Westmoreland. And Westmoreland, or Westy, as he was known by Lyndon Baines Johnson, did not believe, this is another case, right? Many of the strategic failures by senior leaders are because they will not accept reality. Yep. So Westmoreland believed that the North Vietnamese were gathering all their forces to attack Khe Sanh. He literally would not believe that they had taken the city of Hue, and as a result, the local commanders kept feeding units into the city piecemeal where they were getting chopped up. It's a classic military blunder where you fail to accept the actual intelligence that you're receiving, and as a result, you do not take the correct actions. It's a book that any senior leader should read as a cautionary tale.
Oh, good.
Anyway, so the point is reality is important. Speaking of which, so yeah, for whatever reason, man, I'm really on this climate change thing now. I'm really onto it.
Is it because we came back to Maryland on December 28th and it was like 60 million degrees?
Yes, well, that's one reason. The other reason is I think maybe it's because I got sunburned. Like, wow, this fucking climate's changing, yeah.
Well, it feels so real.
Right, exactly. It's now affected me personally.
And therefore matters.
Exactly. Right? So, yeah, you get one sunburn and all of a sudden, man, it's like, save the planet, dude. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, it does have to affect you personally before you think, gee, maybe we should do something about this shit.
Yeah.
Dude, do you guys remember that fucking thing on TV where it was like a belt, like a big belt that went around your back and you like leaned back on it, and then it like the two ends of the belt were hooked up to some machine and it just went back and forth and it just jiggled you, and that was supposed to be like a revolutionary new workout machine that just burned all your fat away by jiggling you. You remember that?
Yes, but I think it was really just practice for your milkshake to bring the boys to the yard.
That definitely didn't hurt, but I'm like, how is it, like, even as a child when I saw it, I was like, that's not how that works. You can't just be shaking until you lose weight. Like, you know what I mean? You can't just grab someone by the shoulders and fucking shake them as hard as you can and they'll get skinny, you know?
No, but if you could, a lot of people would be doing that.
Can you? I thought that was like illegal. I thought you couldn't just make a product and then just say it does something with no proof. Isn't that false advertising?
No, you can do that. And all you have to do is add a disclaimer that this product is not designed to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease.
Dope.
Yeah.
Same thing with the shake weight. Like, what? That's not how that works. You can't just pretend like you're jerking someone off into your face for however many hours. You know what I mean? It's not gonna. That is certainly not better than using an actual weight to do actual exercise.
Well, look, man, I don't know what to tell you. People are susceptible to easy answers. Okay?
Yeah, they are, but it's also like, hey, let's just stop for a second and just think about, like, what... All right, so what's the goal here? You're trying to get stronger, you're trying to get in shape, so, like, to do that, you have to work. Any machine or device or gadget or gizmo that, like, makes it easier for you to work out, you know what I mean? Like, takes the work out of workout, so you're just getting skinnier or whatever through something that moves for you.
Yeah.
You know? It's just ridiculous on its face. Like, that's obviously not going to work.
Right. That's true. And that's one of the reasons why I now believe in climate change.
You know, I saw this cool video. You know that thing kids do where they dab, you know? They put their arms up like this. I saw this video. This kid had, like, made electrodes hooked up to this remote and had it on his friend, like, on the perfect muscles to, like, make him involuntarily dab. He was, like, screaming, like, ah!
Well,
That's pretty amusing.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. That's great.
That was the only appropriate.
That's prime middle school and high school behavior.
Yeah, that's the only appropriate use of dabbing that I can think of.
It sounds horrifying, though. Actually, I mean, if indeed he's using involuntary electric shocks to make his body dab. I mean,
the body obviously had to let him put the electrodes on him. I'm not sure he knew what he was getting into at the time, but
right. Yeah, no, that's the 8th grade high school part of that program. Hang on, I'm going to put some electrodes on you. It's going to be fun.
I mean, the kid was smart. He knew which muscles to do it, like, to make the guy, you know?
Yeah.
Unless it was well staged, but, you know, people would never get on the internet and tell lies.
The screams of pain seemed pretty genuine to me, but what do I know?
What do you know, indeed? The screams of pain seem genuine. All right, so this is supposed to be like our... First of all, Nick, how's your new job going?
Oh, it's fine.
Okay, good.
It's fine. It's easy.
Yeah. Well, you're the master of easy jobs.
Well, I'm the master of making myself think it's easy, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, if I just dropped any one of you in there and was like, all right, do it now, you obviously would not be able to do it right off the bat. But that could be said for any of your jobs, too. It's just a matter of how useful you get. To it you get.
Elsie says she could do your job if just being...
I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Just being dropped in there?
Yeah, she just went...
And I just gave you an apron and was like, all right, do it now.
Yeah, she said...
You can do it?
I'm just saying I've spent a lot of time in customer service related jobs similar to what you've done, but only because I've already done it would I say I could do it. If I hadn't done it before, I'd be like, oh god, that's just putting up with children and not killing them. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, like, the logistics of it, though. Like, I drop you in there, and I give you an iPad, and 12 kids walk in, and I'm like, all right, do it. Just do it. And you're like, do what? And I'm like, check them in, get them the wristbands, get them the socks, do the things, go back and tell them when you need to do it. Now, peace! And then I leave. And then when the people are like, hey, so can we get those wristbands? You're like, what fucking wristbands? They're like, the ones that we get? And you're like, well, you said something about checking them in. You have zero fucking idea what to do. That part does get a little confusing, actually. There's iPads and fucking, like, networks and waivers and wristbands, depending on what, level of birthday party you have.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely zero way you could just do it. And also, but, like I said, that's the same for any job. There's just systems. Like, every job uses a different fucking computer and shit.
Yeah.
It's true these days. Very true.
But after one day, yeah, you could.
Good point.
After one session of someone showing you.
After a sesh.
Yeah, a sesh.
Well, good. I'm glad it's going well. That's terrific. Now, Sarah, I've already told you that I was going to ask for a murder update every pod. So what's the murder update?
The murder update
is it still annoying?
Here's a no shit update.
Yeah.
She's still dead.
That shouldn't be fun.
There was no Christmas miracle. There was no Christmas haunting.
It was not a very merry Christmas.
There was no Christmas miracle of the murder getting solved either, because it's not going to.
Got it. All right, well.
It's remarkably easy to kill someone, even today.
Yeah.
If there's no witnesses, and even if there are witnesses...
I mean, there's video evidence. There's video evidence, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, but it's... Okay, first of all...
So great. Here's what I've learned from this, is that everyone just gets the cheapest, shittiest cameras they possibly can, just for their own sense of security, not for actual security.
Well, and our cameras aren't bad, but the lighting in the parking lot was bad. So...
Maybe get some floodlights, like stadium style.
Yeah.
Dude, you should see it. Yeah. So they put in, like, the brightest fucking lights that you possibly can, and now there are new lights on the building and shit. And then, I don't know, here's a real murder update. There's two murder updates I have for you. One is that they're bringing in defense people, so, like, self-defense people.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah. So
Kung Fu doesn't work very well against a
it's like, keep your keys between your fingers and stab them in the eye type.
I'm looking forward to becoming a ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going. And
you know what would be so much cheaper than hiring personal self-defense trainers for all their employees? Just to have a guard there with a gun. Just one guy with a gun just chilling by the door.
We can't have guns on the premises. And...
Okay, but anyone else can, like a murderer can, What the fuck? That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, dude, we work in a call center. Do you know how many people go off the rails?
Someone was murdered at your job, and you can't have guns on premises. You can't have one guy there, a trained officer. Maybe a trained guy. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, obviously, not just some rando off the street, but someone like one of our employees. Murderer. Not one of your employees. Like, no, I don't. A third party. It's not necessary. It's totally unnecessary. It would definitely be cheaper than. You know what else is not necessary? Hiring a personal self-defense trainer to personally tell you to put your keys in the. Yeah, well, I too agree with that. I think the bullets like Wolverine. Yeah, both of the things are unnecessary. But here's the other thing: is that they want you to call when you arrive as you're on your way, so that somebody can watch you come into the building.
I see.
What the fuck is that gonna do?
Armed guard. That, as is the case with almost every single one of these types of situations, statistically, the odds of it happening again are so low that the best answer would be to not change a fucking thing.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I said I am not calling. Okay, so I came in one morning and it was still dark out or whatever. And I came in and I was walking in the back, and one of the girls who works there, she's not a girl, she's an older lady.
A woman.
And, she talks and acts and dresses like a girl, which drives me crazy.
Okay, the point is,
she was like,
female.
Oh, really? You didn't call in, I'm worried. I just want you to be safe. I'm like, listen, that's exactly what I did. I was like, no, look, nothing that I do is going to change whether or not somebody decides to attack me. Okay, it is 15 feet, literally 15 feet from my car door to the building door. I'm not calling anyone. I'm okay. And I put it just like that, and one of the guys across the room was like, yeah, she's fine.
I do like the concept, though. I do like the concept of why only traumatize a victim if you can also traumatize an observer.
Right. Let's get some witnesses on this.
Once again, instead of all that stupid bullshit where you call an accountability buddy to come out and get murdered with you.
Well, you're not
Hey, armed guard, just a guy with a gun standing at the door solves 2 of the 3 problems we've now discussed.
Here's accountability buddy at my office.
Yes, me too. I'm going to get an accountability buddy right now.
That'll make you accountability buddyable.
Oh, wow. These are interesting updates.
Here's murder update part 3.
Yes.
Is that the lady who discovered the body and called the cops and all that, she did quit. Too traumatizing. So it is like a proven thing. If you watch somebody get murdered, guess what? You're going to be traumatized.
Okay.
So the whole system overall is just like, I can't. I'm not. It's stupid. And you're breeding a culture of fear.
Yes, well, but this is human nature also, right? It's human nature to overreact to a situation and put in all of the things that might have prevented it after the fact.
Right.
So then it will, it's like, well, I've been struck by lightning, so therefore I'm going to do all the things that will help me avoid being struck by lightning again. Yeah. With the full knowledge that being struck by lightning by its very nature is a random event.
Yeah. I'll also just say this about that, which is this. It's your company's way of trying to show they care. So here's a personal example. Because your father loves me, he doesn't want me out walking around in the woods at night because it's dangerous. But I've been doing it my entire life, especially in this area, and I don't have any intention of stopping that behavior. But I know he would like me to stop because he's worried. So your company is just worried about you all and trying to take care of you, even if maybe what they're doing isn't something you agree with.
Wait, Elsie, so you feel comfortable walking around in the woods at night because you've done it your whole life and nothing bad has ever happened from it, right?
Correct.
All the more reason that you should stop doing it. Lightning is going to strike at some point. Struck yet. It's going to strike.
Your time is running out.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so.
Now, I do appreciate the bright floodlights. The parking lot is lit up. That's very nice now these days. So.
Also, if you're really that worried about it, which they're not.
I wasn't, but it's a nice feature.
I'm talking about your company, the whoever, the taste maker. Just get a dude with a gun at the door, asshole. Easy. A trained guy, not just some guy. A trained man. Like there's services for this.
Or woman. Let's not.
Or woman. Well,
Yeah, if you have a gun, it doesn't matter who's behind it.
I like that he disagreed with it being a woman.
Wow, you're big.
I just like, there's certain situations where it's like, I've seen a lot of videos of like a woman cop pulling someone over, and the dude just beats the shit out of her and takes her gun, or just takes her gun away. You know what I mean? There's a lot of situations with dangerous men who will take advantage of the fact that it's a woman and use his physical strength to overpower. There's certain situations, I think, where, like,
I hear what you're saying.
I'm not trying to be sexist about it, but it really should be a man just because. Just to put the thought in the dude's head not to even try.
Well, look, here's the thing. And I hear what you're saying, but the reality is that having deployed with some pretty badass women, I'm not buying it. Sorry.
Wait. You're not buying that it's the simple fact that that women are physically smaller than most men?
I'm saying this, that even though women are physically smaller than most men, a well-trained woman with a gun can't be stopped. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay. Here's the thing about well-trained...
I think anybody can be stopped under the right circumstances, okay?
Sure.
All I'm saying is that when someone sees someone, when a criminal, I'm not talking like a man who is sick in the head in some way because he's a fucking criminal, sees a woman walking up, someone he thinks is weaker than him, whether or not she actually is, that may embolden him to try something that he normally wouldn't, something drastic.
Sure.
The reality is it comes down to the authorization to shoot. In some of those situations where these women are getting overpowered, it's because their training says, okay, this is not a situation in which you shoot yet. Whereas in the military situation that your father was in, you're fucking authorized to shoot.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. When you have an automatic assault rifle and full operational clearance to do whatever to keep yourself alive, not really ask questions.
Well, that's not how it works. We had rules of engagement that were very, very specific. You could only fire your weapon under very specific situations.
But I would argue that your rules of engagement were more open to shooting than a regular.
Yeah, and hey, also, how many times were these highly trained women just alone by themselves talking to a possible enemy, completely isolated from any of her teammates?
Well, no one, because that's fucking stupid.
Of course it's fucking stupid. This is what I'm fucking saying, dude, is that there's a lot of situations where it's just one single woman alone with a gun, and then it's these criminals or a criminal, whatever, sees this opportunity and takes advantage of it solely because she's a woman.
Yeah, but I'm saying that it could just as easily be Barney fucking Fife, right? If you've got some scrawny ass dude who looks like
it could,
go away in a windstorm, it has nothing to do with gender. I'm just trying to get
it definitely does. That definitely affects people's decisions on whether or not they're going to do something violent or illegal.
I'm a card-carrying feminist, but I will also say that, yes, physical attributes do have a lot to do with it. Like you just said, a scrawny-ass dude. Well, so you're saying a scrawny-ass dude is the same as a woman.
Yes, I'm saying that.
So the point is like, I mean, there's just physical features of people that are undeniable.
I'd like
a scrawny-ass dude
out there.
Wow.
Right,
How about
so that guy's in danger as well. But so is a scrawny-ass woman, even more so in danger.
All right, look, here's the point. The point is, no real murder update. That's the point.
So, have you all seen anything other than Star Wars?
Hang on. Before we get into
How did you get back down here?
It's our year-end review. We haven't reviewed shit for the year.
Hey, here's the thing.
Yeah.
We're finally done with the teens. Thank God.
Yeah, the terrible teens.
For another, 2 days?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
All right, hey, guess who's joining us? Bradley's joining us.
Guest appearance.
It's a guest appearance by Bradley. Bradley, why don't you just do it real quick? We're doing our best of the year, and you can start. What were in your opinion, the best films of the year that you saw?
Wait, is it just films? I thought it was just life. God,
okay.
Figure it out.
Yeah, all right. Well, I thought I'd start with films, but films, books, what's the best stuff that you enjoyed this year?
Well, if we're going to start with films, I think overall the best film I saw was Jojo Rabbit, which we saw in New York. That movie was, in my opinion, incredible and should deserve an award of some kind.
Okay, very good. That's films. What about music? What was your favorite album of the year?
Concert.
We saw a lot of concerts that were pretty good. A artist of mine that I enjoy, Scarlord, which is a mix of trap and metal, released 2 new albums, which were really good, and I actually saw them live. And you think with an audience that follows trap and metal would be very angry, and everyone's just trying to beat the shit out of each other in a mosh pit, but everyone was actually really nice, and I think overall it was a great show, and I made a lot of friends. So I think that was the best music.
Okay, very good. And finally, what was the best film or TV series, in your opinion, that you saw this year?
Well, I answered film with Jojo Rabbit, but if we're talking about TV series, I think it's really no contest that The Mandalorian deserves high praise and deserves even more with an excellent season finale that we saw just last night.
That's so sad that was the season finale. I didn't realize it, but then as it was happening, I was like, this is for sure the season finale. So much crazy shit's happening right now.
Yeah. And Brad, did you read any books?
I read a few, mostly that were recommended to me by a friend of mine, and for some reason all my friends like recommending, mangas about gay people. So everyone keeps giving me books about illustrated gays, and none of them were incredible, so I have no real opinion on the matter.
All right, so much for the year in books from Bradley. All right. So how about you?
Brad read porn, and it was great.
Okay, it was recommended, and it was not hardcore.
it was animated.
Softcore boy love. I know exactly what he's talking about.
Oh, why is it sad that two of my kids know about softcore boy love porn? I don't know. Anyway, or maybe it's very encouraging. It's hard to say.
We're embracing foreign culture or something. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So Sarah, how about you? Let's start with film. What was your favorite film?
Are we just doing 2019 or are we doing the decade?
No, we're doing 2019. We can't really. I mean, how many hours do you want this podcast to be?
Look, I thought you said decade because we are moving into a new decade, and I was like, wow, okay. But
you know what? Anyway, though, here's a question. Quick question before we get into it: is the end of 2019 actually the end of the decade, or is the end of the decade the end of 2020?
No. 2020 starts the new decade, so it's 2000 to 2019 is that decade.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Zero based, motherfuckers. I will fight you on that.
Okay. Well, I still say let's just do the last year rather than the
okay.
Because I can't remember the last decade.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I can't. Really, all of my answers would have to be more recent because I don't remember.
Yeah.
A whole lot. Hold on. Let me. Let's see. In terms of books, I liked Gideon the Ninth. I read a bunch of stuff this year. Not as much as I did the year before, but that was probably my favorite.
Okay, so we're going to go with the recency effect in that sense.
Well, I mean, I have Goodreads up, and I was kind of browsing through it. That's still probably my favorite.
I agree. Gideon the Ninth, great book. So that's so much for reading. And oh, by the way, Gideon the Ninth is available right now on Amazon or in the library or wherever you get books. Highly recommended.
So in terms of movies this year,
yes,
two things. I would say I have some contenders here. I'll just list off some of my favorites. Peanut Butter Falcon. Okay. That was really good.
Didn't see it.
I liked that a lot. It was a Huck Finn retelling with Shia LaBeouf and a Down syndrome kid.
Okay, good. And Shia LaBeouf played not the Down syndrome kid.
No, he played. I guess he would be Huck, and the Down syndrome kid would have been
Finn,
the black guy.
Oh, okay, got it. All right.
I really liked Detective Pikachu. I loved that movie.
I'm not sure that would appear on anybody else's.
I thought it was great.
Okay.
On the flight from to Atlanta from Ecuador, which was yesterday.
Yeah.
I actually watched Detective Pikachu because it was available. I couldn't find myself being able to complete it, but it was charming. It was the pacing. It was just kind of a slow. I don't like detective movies. I was just kind of watching it for the Pokemon aspect, and that part they nailed that part. But detective movies just aren't mine. So your opinion totally valid. I just didn't love it.
Yeah, it was totally a cutesy. I like Ryan Reynolds and I like Pokemon, and he made it just funny enough to keep watching. So I liked it.
All right, kind of a Deadpool Pokemon mashup, if you will.
Basically.
Yes.
I mean, and then there was John Wick.
Oh, yeah, John Wick, the third, yeah.
Why are these movies so good? They're so violent. They're so good.
Yeah, 2.5 hours of literal gratuitous violence.
Yeah, just excessive bloodshed, and it's so good. Everyone loves those movies.
Yeah.
I also thought
I do too.
Yeah, okay. All right, and then, so we've done your book.
And no one has an answer.
Your books and your films. How about music?
Of 2019?
Yeah, that you remember.
I found a band called I Don't Know How, But They Found Me in 2019, and they only have one EP out, but I listened to the shit out of that.
Yeah.
It was kind of synth poppy.
Okay, I like that.
And I spent some time with 9 Inch Nails.
Right on.
Earlier in this year, and that shit still holds up.
Okay, good deal.
So, probably go with those two. Brand New is always my favorite, but their last album came out in 2017, so I guess I can't count that.
No, you can't. You can't count an album from 2017 as the best of 2019.
Why not?
Because then I would count Rubber Soul as the album of the year, which is an album by the Beatles that was released in 1965.
I will say that I listened to NF, who is a white rapper, and he does a lot of orchestra. Is that how you say that?
Orchestral.
Sure. In the background shit, and I like that. So it was also a good choice.
All right, so you're best of the year. Very good. Well done, Sarah. How about anything else? Okay. All right, Nick. How about you? Best film of the year.
Best film of the year.
I'll plug your mic and plug it back in.
No, he's just up on it too close. If he just backs off a little bit, it'll be fine.
This fucking guy, every fucking podcast, hey, can you get a little bit more up on your mic? Hey, you're too much up on your mic. Hey, a little bit more on the mic. Hey, why aren't you talking into the mic? All right, get up off the mic. Which one is it, dude? Which one am I supposed to do?
Wow.
Today?
Hey, it just back off a little.
Every fucking time, this guy. All right,
Figure it the fuck out, Nick.
Wow, man, you're a little irritable this morning.
No, listen. There are so many times where my mouth is on the mic. Dad will just interrupt me in the middle of my sentence to say, hey, why aren't you talking into the mic? Hey, asshole, I am talking into the mic. Very clearly, like visibly too. Like you can see it with your own eyes. And you're too far on the mic.
I just want to point out that this is why I tried to intervene instead of having Dad do it.
I like that we're not only doing therapy for your childhood, but creating new needs for therapy at the same time.
That's exactly right.
All right,
That's just life, baby.
What do I do? You're doing it
You're fine.
right now. Yeah, you're fine. Anyway, so best film of the year.
I don't really see that many movies. I don't know. You put me on the spot with this, I can't think.
Okay. Well, you seem to like John Wick pretty well.
John Wick was good. The third one, I didn't even see the whole thing though. I saw parts of it at my friend's house.
Okay,
I think it's on Netflix, dude.
Really?
I think so.
I don't think so.
Not yet. No, not yet. The second one maybe.
It came out in April.
So,
Well,
that's not a guarantee it's going to show up on Netflix.
I watched it recently, and I don't pay for shit.
That's true. You don't.
You could have just pirated.
That's too much effort. Although Johnny might have, so who knows?
Okay, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, what about music? You listen to a lot of music. Nothing good?
No, I haven't really. No. I've been listening to podcasts way more than I have music.
Well, then here we go. What's your favorite podcast of 2019? Would you say it's Joe Rogan?
If you say anything other than this podcast, I think we should disown you.
Well, obviously, it's this podcast. That goes without saying that it's not very good enough. Okay, but aside from the Supreme podcast, which is this one,
Dinosaur cards, dude.
It's hard to say what my favorite is because I do like the Magnus Archives a lot, and it is getting real fucking crazy. Great fucking podcast.
What else do you listen to?
Well, I listen to Joe Rogan too, but like I used to listen to Joe Rogan every week just to listen. Now I only listen to people who like. So there's some people who are like just who's this guy? His name was like Forrest something, and this dude's like a real live Indiana Jones. Like the way he like grew up in Africa, but then now he lives in America. But he always goes on these expeditions. He recently found like the second ever Galapagos tortoise. And it was like about to die and shit, and they rescued it. He's made all these crazy discoveries, does all these expeditions. Really, that was a cool podcast. You know what I mean? Never, just to hear those kind of stories, you would never fucking hear those stories.
Right.
just hear some dude bullshitting about it. That's why I like that format too, because it's like way different from an interview. You know what I mean? An interview, you got like a very set amount of time and a set amount of questions, and you gotta like, you know, have these canned responses and shit, as opposed to someone just sitting down having a conversation about the
Like
shit.
this podcast, for example.
Yeah, except none of us do anything interesting. Or things that we can disclose to the public.
Right. But let's pretend we're interesting for a moment, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. So, favorite podcast, The Magnus Archives, followed up by specific episodes of the Joe Rogan podcast. All right. Well, what about books? Would you say the Poppy Wars were your favorite books this year?
Yeah, so far. Maybe by the time I finish getting the ninth, that'll have changed. But the
In 2 days.
Yeah, in 2 days. But that for sure will have. Will take the top spot, the Poppy Wars and the Dragon Republic, and also Taylor read those books and liked them a lot, so she got on that lady RF Klang, her website or her Tumblr or some bullshit, and she said the next book should be ready by this time next year.
Well, mark your calendars for December of 2020.
You know who's supposed to put out books this year and didn't again? Scott Lynch.
Who's Scott Lynch?
He did those books I made you guys read.
With
The thieves.
Yeah, the
Lies
Yes.
from Lamora.
Yeah, the fourth one was supposed to come out this year in September, and it did not.
Maybe he's not doing so hot.
Yeah,
I mean, physically, do you think maybe he's got the AIDS?
Yeah,
He's deep in the throes of a drug addiction.
Yeah.
that's more likely. I think he has some mental health issues.
Really? Do you think so? Or just based on his imagination, or based on your...
Based on his blog.
Oh, I see. Jeez.
So many creatives are. Am I right?
So true. So true. All right, and then finally, Nick, any music this year that you liked?
not anything new, but that Wax concert I went to was really fucking cool.
All right.
So crazy.
Yeah, right on.
I've been listening to that dude since he was making videos in his car on YouTube like 12 years ago. And then, you know, now I got pictures of me standing right next to him. Dude, it was awesome. That was such a great show. It was such a small venue. It was just like in a bar. I was standing right next to him.
Yeah, those are my favorite venues.
Like, I feel like years from now, that's gonna... And UBI from fucking... Ubiquitous from Cess Crew was there, too. I was also standing right next to him. That's like... He's a big deal. Like, he's got, it was a bar across the street from the Bourbon Theater in Lincoln, which is...
Oh, yeah.
He's like, yeah, we do shows at the Bourbon all the time. Like, we're just chilling at this spot. I'm like, years from now, no one's ever going to be able to fucking get this fucking close to the dude. You know what I mean? They're just going to be selling out arenas.
Interesting. Ubiquitous from Cess Crew.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't know who that was. I'm going to have to do some research.
Oh, they make great music. Although they kind of split and did the solo thing, because the other one is Godimus. It's Ubiquitous and Godimus, and I think Godimus was having some issues. Like, they got
some light issues.
They got real famous real fast and real rich. Like, it was like...
It's hard to handle that shit.
Yeah. And so, but he assured us, Ubiquitous assured us that Cess Crew's not over, much to my relief.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that Cess Crew has still got a future. That's terrific.
Is their official name Godimus Epotamus?
Well,
maybe he's made that note. He could have rhymed Godimus with Epotamus.
Well,
in one of his songs.
Well, once he starts listening to this pod, he probably will. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, that'll help.
All right. So, any other top things in this year, Nick?
Top things.
Yeah, top.
What about games? Video games.
Video games.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Red Dead.
Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, that's definitely top 3, I would say. I can't think of anything really that topped that.
Borderlands.
Borderlands was good, but one that came out was Sekiro, which is like the
Sekiro.
Yeah, the Asian-based
Shadows died twice or some shit.
Yeah, that was like an extra DLC. That was like a whole another game. That one kind of blew up quickly, and then everyone kind of forgot about it.
DLC for what?
Sekiro. It was just like this soul.
Oh, there was the Shadows thing.
For Sekiro, that was like an expansion. Yeah, I actually never played that game, but I heard nothing but good things about it.
just that it was really fucking hard. And you died during times. But Borderlands 3, dude, phenomenal. That was everything I ever could have wanted and more. Like, a lot of people on Reddit were shitting on the story a little bit, like that it was kind of, and like, dude, anything anyone does, you can sit there and cherry pick.
Yeah.
All the little things they did wrong. Reddit kind of had like a little hate boner for Borderlands 3, but I was like, dude, this story is so long. There's so many guns. Like, there's so many cool things you can do. Yeah. So many side missions. Like, so many places to go. Multiple. Well, all the other games, it was just on the planet of Pandora. Yeah. Now it's on the planet of Pandora and all the other planets in the solar system.
Far out, man.
Yeah, real good game. I also bought Battlefront 2 on the PlayStation Store because there's a holiday sale and it was $12 fucking. Dope ass game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when it first came out, like, EA fucked up real bad. They had, like, a pay-to-win type scenario.
Loot boxes type thing?
Every character, yeah, it was loot boxes, but also even more so that every character you pick, whether you're just an assault or heavy or whatever it is, or Count Dooku or Darth Vader, once you finally work your way up, they have these slots for cards. These cards boost your abilities, like
so that you can pay,
make you have more health. And if you pay real, and like the way to get these cards, you can get them just by leveling up, but it's ridiculously slow, right? Yeah. Or you can just pay real money to buy these cards. Therefore, if you pay extra money, you're better than the other people playing online. So you're paying to win. This is after you pay extra money for paying full price, like $60 for this fucking game. Bunch of other bullshit that was wrong with it. This is 2 years after it came out, so they did all these updates and did away with all the pay-to-win shit, and it was $12. So,
yeah, EA is kind of known for fucking up with games.
Yeah. So, yeah, and actually someone on Reddit was talking shit on Battlefront for these policies, and EA's Reddit account got on there and commented some shit. I can't remember what they said, but at the time, it was the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. Yeah. They fucked up so bad.
Yeah, there was a whole campaign on Reddit to get EA to change its policies, and it sounds like ultimately that campaign succeeded.
Well, yeah, a little bit. Yeah. What it is that people... You gotta vote with your wallet. Yeah.
You do.
Like, you stop paying them, stop buying their shit if they don't make good things, which is what I did. And then years later, they fixed it up a little bit. So, best $12 I've spent all year.
All right. Well, that's a good one right there. Okay.
So what about you, Ben? What's your vote?
I mentioned Sekiro for like best game of 2019, but I've watched a few like best top 10 games of 2019 videos, and what a lot of people are saying is that 2019 is kind of like not a great year for good games. But next year is we're just going to explode because there's going to be the next Last of Us.
PS5.
And then the new Xbox console, which just looks like a PC. But one thing that was some people didn't really notice, Valve announced they're going to make a third Half-Life.
Half-Life 3.
Half-Life 3, I think it's like Afflix, NX, something like that.
Affix or some shit like that.
And while the game is probably going to be really, really good, it's going to have the Borderlands 3 effect you were talking about, where everyone's going to shit on it because it's look, its predecessor was building behind it.
Yeah, like, people have been talking about Half-Life 3 for so fucking long. Like, people have been wishing, and like, they're like, Half-Life 3, that would be great, and then everyone's like, no, that's never gonna happen. Now it's happening. So they got huge shoes to fill. Yeah, so it's kind of like, I don't know, setting up for failure almost.
There's some game coming out in 2020, I think, and this is really vague, so you'll have to give me some leeway, but it's like some sort of Western...
Weird West?
Yeah!
That link you sent me?
There you go!
You sent me a link to a game called Weird West, which is being made by the people who made BioShock?
Yeah, right? I think so.
They're also rebooting BioShock, dude. How dope is that guy? I'm so excited for that. Rebooting BioShock.
If indeed they reboot it correctly. I mean, those games, do they have the original creator on the case? Because he's the guy.
I think so.
Yeah.
But also... That game, I mean, you can fuck anything up, but the first game, if they're just remaking the first game, it'd be so hard to fuck that up. Like, it was so good.
Yeah, just remaking it with better graphics and better interface and all that would be...
Yeah, now I assume when they say reboot, that it means there's going to be, like,
a bit of a different story, but it's going to be the same concept.
Yeah, there should be a bit of a different story, just so that you have some mild surprise at the final twist.
Right, and I wouldn't care either. And that was actually kind of the one criticism of the first Bioshock game, is that the final boss is a little underwhelming after all the bullshit you went through to get there.
Yeah.
Which, to me, that's not a problem. I like being able to easily kill him after everything.
Yeah.
So
Come on now.
Yeah, but yeah, so they could change that up. I don't know. That'll be cool. Dude, Doom 2, Doom Eternal, that's coming out in like March of 2020. That's going to be so fucking awesome, dude. The 2016 Doom that they made, magnifique. I love that game.
Well, it sounds to me like 2019 may have been an underwhelming year for games, but 2020 is about to be bomb.
One can only hope. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 came out this year. Not good.
See, you gotta be careful with those sequels. You gotta be careful.
Well, but dude, like, you gotta understand, like, Kingdom Hearts 3 came out 12, 13 years after Kingdom Hearts 2. Like, such huge build-up. And it was so short. That game was so fucking short.
Yeah, they had like 13 years to do it, and then it was 50 minutes long. So, yeah. There you go. Well, you know what? It's time for Elsie's top 10 of the year, I think.
Is it top 10? Because I don't think it really was the top 10.
It's just top whatever. Top whatever.
Yeah, so I'm not following your format. I don't care for your format because movies and music and all that, like, it's fine, but it doesn't really impact my life such that I'm going to remember it. So I'm just...
Why didn't you interrupt me sooner? Why didn't you interrupt me sooner? We could have done this correctly.
Because everyone was empowered to make that choice, and none of them took it. So I'm taking it.
At 100 different thresholds, we still continue.
So here's my personal best of. I'm going to go in chronological order as opposed to any best of order because it's hard to do a best of. Okay. So chronologically, first highlight, reuniting with Fatso the Catso.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Second highlight, remodeling the bathroom upstairs because I cannot properly describe how hideous it was and how much better it is now.
Wow, I like it. Okay.
Right. Highlight 3 was within 1 week getting to see all the kids and spend time with them all. I'm still sad that, it didn't make it to New York with us, but just being able to see everybody was awesome. And then fourth highlight would be actually just seeing in their natural habitat so many wild animals that only exist in one place.
Wow, that's a good rundown, actually, experientially versus any sort of media or consumed content.
Yeah.
Anyone else
I'm going to rate your personal experiences. Which one was the best one out of all those? Definitely Fatso the Catso. That's like a crazy syndrome. When I heard that was insane to me. That cat survived a hurricane. And how many months was it?
8. She was on her own for 8, yeah.
That's insane.
She did not care for us being on vacation. She has not, gotten off of our laps pretty much since we got home.
That's a true story.
That's such a crazy story.
Yep. Well, you know what? That's why people love pets. They're loyal.
That's like hope.
Did you board your pets when you left?
No, so one of Brad's many girlfriends came and hung out with the cats every day. Also because her family's very religious and she's not, so this is like a nice escape for her to come over and hang out at our house. And then I found a nice family. I found a new family for Lily. And they have a little kid, so she spent Christmas with them and their dog.
Oh, that's nice.
It was nice. Actually, the family that we put Lily with really appeared to be a lot nicer than our family.
Much nicer than us, yes.
I mean, Lily did signify some reluctance to come home. But now that she's here, she's kind of settled back in with her usual depressed look.
She's resigned herself to her fate.
Yes.
Instead of one of Bradley's many girlfriends, you should have just said Bradley's bottom bitch.
I don't know, she seems a little bit like a top, Brad.
Well, I'd like to, real quick, let me defend myself. One, not my girlfriend, but that's whatever. And if we're going to add personal experiences that were very meaningful this year, I want to say getting my driver's license.
Yeah, that's a big one too.
And getting a solid job, which is nice.
That's also a big one. These are big steps.
Very significant.
For sure. So here, I guess my top 10 list, or whatever, my top experience list. First of all, restaurant of the year, Ziff's. Fine dining and a relaxed continental atmosphere right there in Invercargill, New Zealand, and a proud fake sponsor of the Shinn show since its inception. So that's restaurant of the year. I'm going to say religion of the year by far, Church of Universal Energy and the Infinite Multiverse.
Naturally.
Yeah, naturally. And I think that religion's probably going to come on pretty strong in 2020. I realize right now it has just a handful of casual adherents, but I suspect that we're going to see a great number of fantastic adherents over time. Top experience number 3, not getting fired. I think that's always a winner in my book, and no guarantees on that for 2020. And then finally, the top experience of the year for me has been Elsie's continuous efforts to bring us all together as a family, and her success in doing so over the Thanksgiving holidays. Well done to you, Elsie.
I think you meant goddamn family.
Bringing us together like a goddamn family. Well done to you, Elsie.
Any personal highlights for those of you that were forced into this structure that none of us really liked?
No.
Yeah.
Nah.
No, you can pass. Got it.
All right.
Which is good. That means it was all good. It wasn't all good, but it's all good.
But it's all good. It's all love.
And here at this moment, it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm shouting out a best of for Nick that he's not claiming, which is moving in with Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Big one. Very important. Best of. Definitely. Actually, that was a huge, big deal. Super glad that happened.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that. How are things working out? Things okay?
Except for the cat.
Yeah, it's great. But even if it weren't, it's not like right here and now is where I would discuss that. But
No,
it is
right
good.
here now.
Except for that fucking cat. Yeah.
Well, this is your cat, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's an asshole.
Dude, he's an asshole. He is the craziest fucking cat I've ever had. I've had a number of cats. He is an asshole. He's just a team, dude.
And you even paid money to get him back. That's the
right.
part.
Sure did. Saved his little ass from the jaws of death.
Yeah.
So are you saying that this cat is creating problems between you and Taylor?
No, but he's got to create problems between me and the managers of the apartment complex or the hotel for sure.
I see. He's destroying your home. Got it. Yeah. All right. Well, that's unfortunate. Very unfortunate indeed. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I think we've covered a lot of ground, and it's great to have our last podcast of the year. And I think it's appropriate that it's the longest podcast of the year that we've done. And great job, kids. Well done, Elsie, and well done, Bradley. Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
All right.
Honored to be nominated.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. That's right. Next year we'll talk. Please join us next week when we're going to be talking about our goals for 2020.
Oh, shit.
I'm just kidding. We won't do that. A Shinn Show is a production of Shinnfluence. It features the voices and opinions of the Shinn and occasionally the Hamilton family, and it is exclusively and entirely opinions of their own, no one else. It's brought to you on a fake basis each week by Ziff's Fine Dining in Invercargill, New Zealand, and by the Church of Universal Energy and the Infinite Multiverse. Interested in what that is? We'll just make it up. Please join us next week when we will definitely not hear Sarah say her goal for 2020 is
To get everyone a new car.
Aww. I was hoping on a car.
too bad, yeah. Well, you're not going to get that. Anyway, great year, and glad everyone here is my family.
We love you too.
All right,
Just don't tell anyone.
yeah, I won't.